Hey YouTube. So the other day I talked about the float circuit, the low idle circuit, and the main metering circuit. So what I want to show is if you look in here, when you open the throttle valve, you can see this is the top of the accelerator pump. These are the two metering pins that go into the jets to determine how much fuel goes in and out of them. So you can see as you give it gas, the accelerator pump goes down. So this next one is the accelerator pump circuit. And all that does is, when the car's idling, this stuff is obviously not doing anything, and the choke, because there's a little vacuum on the choke would be open slightly, because this dash pot here gets vacuum put on it, and that would pull on this lever and hold the choke open a little. So when you go to give it gas, what happens is you go to give throttle, the choke will open up because the car will start to warm up, and also it'll be vacuum on it. So when you go to give it gas or give it throttle, open the throttle valve, because the difference between idling is when the gas comes out through the little vent holes down here, the difference between that and full throttle is that the gas doesn't come out of here, down here, to fulfill the need for throttle, higher throttle or higher RPM. Where it comes out of is, and I can't really get this open all the way, but inside there, I don't even know if you can see it, it doesn't really matter, but inside the top here, I had showed you the other day, there's two round venturies, and inside those there's two jets. So when you open the throttle and you push down on the accelerator pump, there's a ball valve on the bottom of there, and it sort of bypasses the little holes at the main. It bypasses where the idle screws go through the body and let gas in for idling. So it bypasses at the gas, and it goes in, comes up a tube, and because you're opening the throttle and you're giving more vacuum to the upper part of the carburetor here, because even with this choke being slightly closed, it increases vacuum. But what happens is you give it gas, the accelerator pump goes down, it forces gas to come in, more pressure into the tube, up to the venturies that are inside here, not the two booster venturies, and out those jets. And that's where the gas comes to get the car to run like at cruise speed, or if you need extra power for pulling something or whatever. That's how the gas works there. And then the last circuit would actually be the choke. And what happens is, when the choke is closed, obviously, and the engine's turned over, it creates a much higher vacuum below the throttle valve and above the throttle valve. Okay, and that's what causes the gas to come in these holes down here. There's a tremendous amount of vacuum at an idle. And then as for this carburetor here, and a lot of times these things don't work, and I actually like the older ones that hook to the manifold. But anyway, there's a wire that hooks to this heater here, and inside there's a round spring that's actually a heater element. It's a bimetal strip, so that when it heats up, it moves. And when that moves, what that'll do is that'll tend to have this choke opened up. Now this choke, it doesn't open fully, this particular choke, but it opens enough to give more than enough gas in there, or air in there, especially for a 6-cylinder. But the point is the choke circuit is like this. As soon as you get in the car and step on the gas and start turning the motor over, it makes a vacuum. The vacuum, which comes through this dash pod here, starts pulling on the choke, and the choke already has a little hole there to give some air. So it'll open up a little bit, and then the more warmer and warmer it gets, the more and more this will open. but it only opens as this thing is working. So if this doesn't work, this bimetal strip in here won't heat up. If the heater's not working, then you're not going to get the choke opening the way it should, and then you'll be having a rich condition, and you know, smoke, you may get smoke, although with all the hoses that go back to the manifold, it burns everything up, but you may end up with a little bit of smoke. You may end up with carbon all over the spark plugs and stuff, which is what the problem is with this thing. And I found out by testing the coil in here, the heater coil, that the other one didn't work. So I had gotten a box of carburetor parts from the woman who owns this, and I found one that did work, and I put it on here. Now, whether the wire that goes to this is working properly or not, I won't be able to tell. Normally, you know, this would heat up and stay warm all the time, so I'm assuming voltage is coming there constantly, but we have to see what happens when I put it back on the car. So you have the idle circuit, or low speed. You have the main metering, which is these two meter rods here go down into the jets, and when you give it throttle, you see they're coming up. Right now they're in the down position, the two metering rods. Now think about it, they're tapered, so the further down they go, the less gas they're letting in, and you would need less gas for an idle. But as you give it gas, they come up. The accelerator pump goes down, the rods here come up, these metering rods, alright? So when they come up, you're actually letting a bigger hole through the jets, which is needed because once you force this gas down with the accelerator pump, it has to go somewhere, and what it does is it goes through a passage, mixes with air, and comes out through the ventures that are down underneath the choke here. So that's basically, you know, all there is as far as how the carburetor works. There's a couple additions onto this thing which I'm not sure if they really do anything. This is an additional electrical part. This is supposed to be like this solenoid is supposed to sustain certain speeds. It doesn't really increase the speed or anything. It only has enough power to actually hold its own at one point. But if you completely did not use this, you still have this as an adjustment for idle speed. You know, I really wish that all this junk that's added to the carburetors was never added. I don't think it had to be added, but you know, this is our government in action. It's costing us more money for nothing. Maybe there's some benefit from, you know, not having gas go into the atmosphere. I don't freaking know. Anyhow, this cover then, before I put that on there, you'll notice right here there's a little adjustment there also. When you give this gas, there's a valve here that allows a vacuum to come into this bowl to suck whatever fumes are left after the accelerator pump, or when you shut the car off, you have some vapor in there, and that vapor will handle itself through the this vacuum, probably end up back in the gas tank somehow. Not positive of how that works, and not really caring how it works at this point. I'm concerned about how the gas gets in there smoothly, and that the mixture is the right amount of lean and richness that doesn't give me all kinds of problems. In order to have a good running car, you have to have the right amount of mix for the vehicle that you're working on. So what I'm going to be doing here then is, after I get the carburetor together and the car, and I'm still waiting for that camshaft. It's been 6 weeks now. I got a letter from Summit, or an email from Summit the other day saying that it would be shipped on the last week of January, so hopefully that it will be. So anyway, that's where we stand with this. So it's all back together. The only thing that I'm going to have to do with this once I get it on is I will have to adjust the air screws here, the idle screws, and I will have to probably adjust the throttle. And I'm going to do that with this and also with the two screw holes. down in here, the needle valves. And that should be it. I'll let you know what happens here. Have a good one, guys. Bye.